From beautiful downtown Millheim, in the smack dab center of the Keystone State, this is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass, the podcast that's mostly about food and drink in central Pennsylvania. Welcome to episode 53, Tasty in the Wilds. I got out into the Pennsylvania wilds for this episode. I've gone some distance for stories before, down to Hanover, up to Mansfield, out to Washington, and of course the out-of-state episodes I've done. But even when I did the maple syrup episode and the visit to the brewery outside of Clarion that's literally called Lost in the Woods, I've never been out in the woods for an episode like this one. As my buddy Dave put it, I kind of drove up to Snowshoe and then just turned right off the map. I wound up at Clay and Melanie Phillips' place, across from the Pine Glen Volunteer Fire Company on Route 879. That's where they make their Village Eatinghouse products, salad dressings, marinades, sauces, and it's where they have pop-up barbecues done with those sauces. On the actual day of the interview, I got there early, so I went on up 879. I'd never been to Carthus, and it was just a few miles up the road. It's on my list for that long-delayed Riverside Towns episode I've talked about. But, as is often the case, I was waylaid by temptation. In this instance, temptation came in the form of a strobe neon in the window of the Iron Rail Bar and Grill. The iron rail sits behind the railroad tracks that run along the north bank of the western branch of the Susquehanna, a one-story block building that looks built to resist any flood by brute strength. It wasn't much to look at, but that red strobe neon was all the attraction I needed, and I wheeled the Subaru into the empty gravel lot. The barroom was quiet, just the bartender, Kim, reading a book as I walked in and ordered a bottle of strobe. There was a kitchen, but I really only had time for one beer. I'm not sure how you all feel about strobe lager, but I've put away my share of these light, crisp beers with just a hint of green apple to them, and I was happy to put my lip to this one. Kim told me how to pronounce Carthus, useful because it's spelled like it would be pronounced Carthouse, and said it was a quiet place, but nice. I finished the strobe just as two pickups full of guys came in. We exchanged nods, and I headed south to my interview. Now, why did I tell you that? It's got nothing to do with Village Eatinghouse or foods from Central PA or much of anything else. I just wanted to set the scene, that whole out in the wilds aspect of the story. But as you'll hear in the interview, once I crossed the bridge over the western branch, I was back in Center County, which amazed me. It seemed like it was a long way from State College. But that's where the Phillips make their products and ship them literally all over the country. It's a good story, and we'll get there soon. Then, I'll tell you about some of my sneaky kitchen shortcuts, the ways I learned to get dinner on the table while raising two kids as a stay-at-home dad. I've even got one shameful confession to make, an ingredient I pour right out of a can. Good heavens. Then we'll have a quick MyBox status report. May is coming fast, folks. And you're going to want to listen all the way to the end of this episode because we've got another little contest for you to enter. It's fun. It's easy. And you'll maybe get your name read on a future episode. Wow, kids, that's a lot of stuff. I guess we'd best get started. And you know what that means. Here's what I'm drinking today. I'm drinking two things today. Herman Mihalich, co-founder at Mountain Laurel Spirits, which is best known for their Dad's Hat brand of rye whiskey. Okay, that's really damn near all they make. Has kept me in the loop from the beginning with new stuff that goes on there. I used to live about 15 minutes from the distillery and dropped by often, and we've stayed in touch. Like other distillers, Herman's been experimenting with heritage grain varieties and has been working with Meadowbrook Farm in northern Bucks County on growing usable amounts of rosin rye. Coincidentally, I used to drive through Meadowbrook Farm's fields regularly when I worked at Whiskey Advocate. It always gave me a bit of a thrill to see rippling rye stalks and think, I'm going to be drinking you someday. Anyway, Herman offered to send me a bottle of their new rosin rye. It's at 95 proof and about 2.5 years old. As Herman told me, I wanted to bottle some at this age to show off the contribution of the rye grain, not letting the barrel mask the grain in its fermentation products. It'll be fun to see how this evolves as it ages further. This is our usual Monongahela mash bill, 80% rye and 20% malt. 15% malted two-row barley, and 5% malted rye. Now we're going to taste that. But first, as a kind of calibration, I'm going to taste the standard Dad's Hat bottling. It's at 90 proof, a blend of 1 to 2 year old smaller barrels with 4-year-old standard barrels. It's not exactly apple to apples with the Rosen, but it's as close as we can get. I'm doing this because I always want to know if there's really a difference from these old strains, or if we just kind of want to think there is because it's cool to use old grains. I did taste one the other day that was definitely different. The Balboa rye from New Riff, quite different. Not a lot of sweetness, very herbal, quite dry actually. So let's see how the Rosen compares in terms of showing a difference. So first, the standard Dad's Hat. Dry grain, bit spicy, a little bit of mint, faint medicinal hint. Herbal, really. I almost want to say like old fennel seed, but some stemmy grass as well. All right, sip. That's the Dad's Hat, I know. Dad's Hat is really unlike most rye whiskeys most of you have probably had. It is not, it's not sweet because it doesn't really have any of that corn. And yet there's a curl to it that the rye brings in. It's not so much sweet as, fresh, or, because it's not really dry either. This is part of what makes rye whiskey fascinating for me. Definitely getting that mint. I'm fighting to not say lavender because we have a new lavender soap in the house, and I know even though I rinsed my hands, I may be picking up a little bit of that, or it may be from the whiskey. I'm not sure. Okay. I've got this in my mind. Let's go to the Rosen. And again, the Rosen is at 95 proof and about 2.5 years old. So let's try that. Okay, that is different. Wow, that is different. The herbal quality is different. The aroma has much more of a, like a dry grain feel to it. And yet, wow, like wild peppermint, wild spearmint from a meadow, dried grass, almost like if you mowed a really long lawn, like one that had been let grow and then saved that grass. It's like a sweet grass. And then on the tongue, it is lighter. It is more herbal. That grass comes through. Well, I keep thinking I'd kind of like to blend these, but clearly different. And I'm not saying I like one over the other. I like them both, but a clear difference, which is what we were looking for. And, this is so much fun. I'm going to taste the third sample that Herman sent as well. This is a 1.5 year old sample of another strain, Danko rye. This is at barrel proof, about 122. So I cut it with a bit of water. Let's see. Wow, that is a much greener grass. And that kind of, I don't know, like dry fennel seed, old fennel seed. I mean, there's definitely some notes of that there. And the whole thing really smells like a grain store. It's got that dry grain smell to it. This kind of reminds me of that Balboa. It's quite dry. Wow, a lot of stuff along the edge of the tongue. God, it's weird. I'm almost getting a feel like watermelon rind. Some floral notes. And in the back, some sweetness. This is yet a different animal. So we've got the standard Dad's Hat, which I'm familiar with. We've got the Rosen, which was drier, different in its herbal component. I'm not sure it would be clear in a cocktail or not, but it definitely comes through side by side, drinking it neat. And then the Danko, which is yet another beast. This reminds me of a Sam Kamalenik and I tasted, and I think I've told you about this. We tasted 3 different strains of rye out at the Iron City distillery with Mark Strickland. And he had, I want to say it was Rosen and think Danko and a Rustic, a main strain. And again, 3 very different flavors. Offhand, yeah, there's a difference. I'm looking forward to following this along. Thanks, Herman. And now it's time for Smack Dab in the Center, sponsored by the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau. You've probably guessed by now that one big reason I do this podcast is because I love getting out on the road and exploring Pennsylvania. The miles-long vistas of ridges dotted with farms and small towns here in Center County has been a favorite running around area of mine for decades. If you also like that kind of thing and want to combine it with some fun sightseeing and delicious treats, you should take a look at the 3 Center County farm routes prepared by the Adventure Bureau. The first, the Round Barn route, largely follows Route 45 from Little Pine Grove Mills up through historic Boalsburg and on to Center Hall, stopping along the way at farm-to-table restaurants, wineries, cideries, farm markets, the Runnymede Arboretum, and yes, the Neff Round Barn. The Town and Country route starts way out at the Way Fruit Farm in Stormstown and wends its way from there into the center of Center County State College. You'll see more farms and wineries and breweries and restaurants and farm markets, and you'll see how the country reaches deep into this town. The third route is out in my neck of the woods, the Ridges and Valleys route. Start in beautiful Bellefonte with a bevy of breweries and Big Spring Distillery, then cruise down Nittany Valley. It'd be a good time to play that episode, which is number 23. And then come to Penns Valley the same way I did for the first time, over the switchbacks of Madisonburg Mountain and through the Narrows to beautiful downtown Millheim. You know we've got plenty here, and you can follow the route on out to Aaronsburg. You'll find all of this and more when you find the Happy Valley Ag Ventures on the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau website, happyvalley.com. I don't have a lot of story to give you on Clay and Melanie Phillips, the people behind Village Eatinghouse dressings and sauces, because we dove into that in the interview. But I will note that this is a phenomenon I love to see in Central PA and other places. A restaurant, or sometimes just a roadside stand, will create something new, a salad dressing, a pasta or hot dog sauce, a dessert, a spice blend, a mustard, and it becomes part of the reason people go to that place. Sometimes they may package it, and it becomes a takeout item in bottles or jars. I usually take home a couple jars of classic red sauce when we go to Franco's Lounge in Williamsport. Or the Cheese Shop on Duke of Gloucester Street in Colonial Williamsburg has their house dressing. It's a thick, savory dressing studded with cracked peppercorns and mustard seeds, and it follows William and Mary students home every year. It's a dressing, a vegetable dip, a casserole binder. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, we're hooked on that too. And sometimes a product like this is so beloved that it outlives the restaurant. And that's how we came to today's interview. The Village Eatinghouse was a cafe the Phillips ran in Boalsburg back in the 80s. And Clay made a dressing that, I'll tell you what, let's just let them tell the story. Here's how we got there. After I pulled into the driveway of their home and knocked on the door of the little shop on the enclosed front porch. I got a quick tour of the grounds. We set up the mics at the kitchen table and started talking. And yeah, speaking of setting up the mics, I really need to get some new mic stands. Hey, I'm here with Clay and Melanie Phillips of Village Eatinghouse, sitting right in your kitchen. How you doing?
We're doing great. How you doing, Lou?
Okay. All right.
Join this.
Yeah. So, I'm guessing a lot of listeners don't know where Pine Glen is. When you get that question, what's your answer? What do you tell them?
The best part about Pine Glen is, for us, being connected to our local community, is that we're still in Center County, but just by 3 miles.
Wow,
honestly.
Yeah, you must be really close.
We are really close to the border of Clearfield County. So, yeah, 3 miles down the road, you can get right into the west branch of the Susquehanna on a canoe, but you'll also go right across the bridge and you'll be in Clearfield County in Carthus, which is actually our mailing address.
Okay.
Our town doesn't have a post office, so we're in Carthus, but we're really in Center County.
It's very confusing. People think, you must be in Clearfield County, but we're not.
No. Okay. Wow.
But it is so it's great because it's actually like about a 35-minute drive from downtown State College. So that gets us about 20 minutes from Bellefonte and about 10 minutes from Snowshoe. We are also about 30 minutes from Phillipsburg, which is great.
And about 22 minutes to Clearfield.
So we have
Okay.
a nice round area that we're able to be part of.
Yeah, I
We're
didn't
only
realize
about-
State College was that close.
We're
Yes.
only about 5 minutes away from the Elk.
Yeah.
From the Elk.
Yeah.
Like
People-
literal elk?
Literal elk, yes. Yes, a lot of people think you have to go to Benezet to get to the elk. But,
You're right.
But a lot of people drive up there and they're like, I never see any elk. And then we tell them, about 3 miles down the road, they can go see elk.
No
And
kidding.
Oh yeah,
They
there's a
see the
beautiful
herds of them here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's a beautiful elk herd that was relocated sort of from that area and brought down into this area. And so they congregate, just like as Clay says, 3 miles down the road on a beautiful elk plateau.
Yeah.
You can go up there anytime and see them.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
So we're on a major tourism route.
So how did you wind up here?
So we've been in the State College and Bellefonte, Boalsburg area for about 35 years in a business called Village Eatinghouse, obviously. And for years, about 2 or 3 years, we were trying to figure out where do we want to be and how do we want to live our life going into the next 10 years? And so we were looking for enough land to be able to do some events on, including even maybe have some people be able to stay over in their campers, whatever. But we were looking to be able to do the events. We were looking to be able to make our product in our home or on our home in a facility on our home base. We also can distribute here because it's right there close to 80. We can also get so many places we self-distribute. So we're very still centrally located. But everything that we looked at for years in the State College Route 220 corridor was either just not what we needed or it was too expensive. We weren't getting what we needed, and we knew we wanted to be on a well-traveled route. Not a busy highway, but a well-traveled route. And so when this property was shown to us, we knew immediately this was it. We were located right
I
across from
showed
the...
her a picture one morning and she says, oh my gosh, we're going to be buying this house.
Yeah, we're right across from the fire hall, and Clay's a lifetime fire company member. And so it was a natural sort of a way to get into our community here.
Sure.
And it's just been great. It's just been really great. It's not like a far from our home base, which, the State College Bellefonte area. So it's terrific to still be part of our community, but just once removed and have a little bit of more freedom to do what we want to do here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll be honest, I saw your dressings at Burkholder's down in Millheim, and I'm like, oh, local producer, cool. But there's plenty of local producers at Burkholder's that distribute in maybe a 10-mile radius. You guys are like nationwide. How did that happen?
We are nationwide.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I looked at your map on the website. I'm like, there are red dots everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
during, prior to COVID, we had just changed the focus when I talked about earlier about, well, not with these guys, but with you, about reinventing ourselves. We had sold our cafe and decided that if we were going to do salad dressing, we were going to do it.
Oh, okay. We talked about the Foodies of State College Facebook group earlier, and I remember seeing something about that on there, and
Yeah, so we had a
I
restaurant.
had no idea what they were talking about. Okay.
Our first restaurant was in Boalsburg, circa 1985,
Oh
87,
gosh. Okay.
till 96. And we
That's
did
where the salad
restaurant.
dressings were invented. was
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, the
And
sweet
you were
and
what,
sour
10 at
Italian.
that time? Is that-
So the sweet and sour Italian and the marvelous poppy seed came out of that first restaurant in Boalsburg, and then the rest of our products are sort of versions of those. So we have a lot of Italian dressing types. But how it really came about, like Clay said, we sold the cafe in Pleasant Gap, and we went to town selling dressing. And so we went to every festival that we could get to, and some of us,
We did over 70 festivals one year.
And when you say festivals, you mean what?
Like wine festivals,
Okay.
art and craft shows,
Oh, all right.
all that type of stuff.
all over Pennsylvania, which we had already secured, probably about 50 places selling our dressing by then. And so we would do purposefully festivals in those areas so that we could encourage the locals to then go and buy it again at the store
Okay.
that we are trying to market. Anyway, so we did festivals galore. We started doing fundraising. And so we have a really nice fundraising brochure that's 30% goes back to the organizations. So that's been really great for us. The fundraisings and then the festivals. And then, of course, like I said, these wholesale. So we dedicated 1 day a week to be on the road, so delivering to these 50 places in and around the area. Well, when we spent the day, we would stop at other retailers along the way. We'd see little stores that looked awesome, so we would stop and shake their hand and give them a sample, and the next time we came back through, we'd give them a buzz and, sure, yeah, let's give it a try. So we just started increasing just meeting people and introducing them to the products, and they introduced it to their customers, and it just started growing and growing. So now we distribute all the way to Kane, out to Elysburg, out in Bloomsburg, and then out to Clarion, and all the way down to Chambersburg, and just over the Maryland border.
Georgetown.
We do that ourselves, our self-distribution. And then we also joined a lot of small business manufacturers know about this online wholesale marketplace called Fair, and it's Fair with an E, and we signed up and became a top shop on there through sales and making our orders and all of that. And so
this is like a business to business kind of thing.
Yes,
It's a business to business
And
thing, and we joined that right during COVID, and it took it.
Yeah.
So a lot of small businesses started then, of course, but also, so that got our product across America in a very quick and really cool way.
Yeah.
So we've met so many people from far and beyond. We've actually traveled and met some of those in Louisiana. We've met some people in North Carolina. And anytime we travel that we're even close to one of our retailers, we'll stop and and meet them, and they just think that's really cool too. So, and we love meeting them. So yeah, between our retail festivals and of course our online sales, and then our wholesaling and our fundraising. Oh, also the other cool thing is, so we have an ambassador program, and so we give anyone who's interested an opportunity to sell the dressings for themselves, and so they become us in a different town, and so we give them a really nice little sweet package to be introducing it to their friends and family, and we reward them, and that gets, like I said, it's almost like word of mouth. That's how we've done this, shaking hands, word of mouth for all these years, and it has just been.
And we keep it in stores that are mom and pop type stores where people actually talk to each other and they know. They know the customers and stuff like that. So that's worked out very well for us instead of going to a large grocery store chain where things get lost on shelves.
Yeah, you sell it to somebody who then never sees it again and just sends it out. Yeah.
And the funny part you said about Burke holders, we usually say, we don't sell it to grocery stores except for a couple. And one is Burke holders, and I'm not kidding you. Burke holders has
Russ
been
does that stuff. Yeah.
Well, his dad before him.
We sold it back when his dad was running.
Oh, wow, okay.
Back when he was still stocking shelves.
I'm going to say
they've probably been one of our longest retailers.
Wow.
In like 1996, 97. Yeah. As well, a basketful in Boalsburg has been one of our long-term. We were actually, our first restaurant in Boalsburg was right next to a basketful. And so as soon as we moved out of Boalsburg, she said, can we sell it? Absolutely. And she does great with it. Pam and the girls there are great. So that's kind of how our business has come about and really flourished for us.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We were talking about bourbon actually before we started the show, and while you were saying this, it reminds me, this is how Heaven Hill works. Heaven Hill's a big company, but they're a family-owned company, and a lot of their sales are still absolutely
face-to-face
personal relationships. Yeah, it's just it's a great way to be.
That has really been that's
probably been the mainstay of our business is personal relationships, whether we had the restaurants or whether we had the dressing. We know the people's names when they come in. We know their family. We know
very satisfying
what they might be going through
business.
for the day. So you can lend them a there.
Yeah, sometimes we actually lend them a hand doing things while we're there. But yeah, it's been really good for us. Really satisfying way to make a living all these years. And as many, so we had the restaurant, we had the catering, we had the cafe, and as many businesses as we sold, we've never sold Village Eatinghouse. We've never sold the dressings, the recipes for the dressings. That's always been our sort of secret.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've been talking about the business. Let's talk about the product. And I was thinking, what do I call it? Is it a dressing? Is it a sauce? Is it a marinade?
Well, we used to call it a dressing.
Okay.
And we called it a marinade. Now we kind of call it a sauce.
Okay.
And usually,
we don't even use a descriptor at the end because everybody sends in stuff that baffles our minds on what they've used it in.
Yeah, absolutely. I really try to refer to it as an all-purpose cooking sauce because I don't even want to call it cooking sauce because on its own, it's a dressing. Yeah. You don't have to cook with it. But if you cook with it and if you find yourselves being really creative with it, it's a necessary pantry staple is basically what it is.
What did you say the other day? Uniquely flavorful or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Uniquely flavorful and simply versatile. We're still
working on it.
Still working.
Sure.
You're always working your business. Sure. And sometimes the best part is, I see something from somebody else's marketing and I get the idea, how can I tweak that to use in my business, our business? Mm-hmm. And so it's usually recipes, and you'll find so many recipes. I don't know if you've checked out our website.
I did. There are recipes on there. I was looking at that.
There are, and then there's links to our YouTube channel, which has tons more recipes on it. It's really fun once you start cooking with our product. It's really fun, flavorful, and satisfying.
Now, when we first started talking about doing an interview, which has only been a couple of days, it's moved together really fast, you encouraged me to think of you as a winery.
So what we're doing here...
Yeah.
Take it, for instance, we would be at festivals. We came up, is this wine? What type of wine is this? Because it's in this bottle. Mm. Well, it's not in a wine bottle, but it's in a bottle. Oh, yeah,
your older bottles look a lot like a wine bottle.
A lot like a wine bottle. Okay. And so when we were deciding what we were doing up here in our new location, we said, let's make a saucery. Like a winery, a brewery, why not make a saucery?
Okay.
So you stop in, you could try all the different flavors and
buy what you want, get great deals.
Your room out there looks like a small winery's tasting room. Yeah.
And lots of other foodie products out here that we get from as many local places as we can. We've got honeys and jams and jellies and fun stuff. So we wanted it to be like a winery experience. However, because we are so busy, we're on the road or we're doing other things all the time, festivals and fundraisers and pop-ups and such, our place is open on your honor. And so sampling takes place on your own rather than someone serving it to you.
Yeah.
And so I think that we do a pretty good job of encouraging that. However, it can be intimidating, I'm sure, coming in and not really knowing what to do. So now the big old sign has an arrow. It says samples. And so... we've had nothing but good luck with this little shop out here. Like I said, we're on a tourism route. We have a local village that we live in, and then the surrounding towns. They really are supportive of the local economy here. And so we've been really blessed. And then, of course, our friends and family that come up and fans come up and come to our little shop.
You had mentioned earlier about doing the events.
Well, the event kind of came out of the fact that, we had the restaurant in Boalsburg for 10 years. We did catering for various organizations and stuff for over 20 years. Then we opened our other not catering, but our cafe. Mm-hmm. And so all of these people that got to know us and got to know our food, they're like, I can't believe you're not doing food anymore.
Oh, yeah, when we were just doing salad dressings and marinades.
How can we satisfy them without opening a restaurant again?
Yeah.
And we've always loved to put on events. We've always enjoyed that. I love hosting, and so it was just a natural thing for us to do. We've done it for other people, event planning, and so for us to do it here was a natural. So local talent comes up and sings and plays and shares their talents with all of the people that come to our festivals.
Sometimes we get a winery or a brewery to come up and
serve. That sounds a lot like what a winery does. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. And then we have vendors coming as well. We have yard games. So
we do barbecues.
And we do the barbecues every Friday.
So we're cooking real food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So every Friday we do our chicken, pork, maybe pulled beef. We have like a feature, and then so that's every Friday, and we do it all day. So if it's from lunch through dinner. So it's a 10 to 7. And then Saturdays, it's the third Saturday of each month, and we do the events from 10 to 4. And so, yeah, it just works out really well.
Yeah. And I mean, I assume that your sauces are used liberally.
Yes.
Everything we make is...
I want to say everything we serve, but that's not true because we serve Richie's Dairy out of Martinsburg.
Oh, yeah.
We serve their ice cream. And so there's no sweet and sour in that.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, our whole line of products are, like I said...
Well, you do have that tart cherry flavor.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
we've made brownies out of that.
Okay.
Yes, we have. And I tried very hard to sell a tart cherry poppy seed sundae last year, and just nobody would go for it. Nope, no one would go for it. So instead, we made whoopie pie sundaes.
Okay.
Any rate.
So you're. I noticed that the main ingredients in your dressing is love. It's always the first ingredient.
You have read the labels.
At what point in process is the love added? And is that
Entirely.
Local love? Is that organic love?
Right?
Yeah.
So when we sold the cafe, we were in Pleasant Gap, and we were living there as well. And that's when we got our brand updated with our new label look and our new logo. And it looks beautiful, very satisfying. And we always wanted to say it was made with love because, Clay and I are married now. Is this our 30th year? 29th. So we've been married a long time, and we've worked side by side together through this whole process. And I said, without a solid base for our relationship, that we couldn't have done this together. I just think that we couldn't have been working this close together without this love that we share. And I feel like we share that with our fans and our families and friends. Like, I feel like that's something that comes across, and that's kind of who we are. And so when we put love on the label, and then we had our inspector we get inspected of course, from the Pennsylvania Department of Ag.
They've looked at the label and gone, everything's good.
But remember when the FDA came in, we were really nervous about that. Yeah, but they were supportive as well. And so, yeah, love is the first ingredient, and the second ingredient is apple cider vinegar, which is in every one of our sauces. And that's the only vinegar that we use, the apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
And then the rest of the ingredients, and they're all natural, they're gluten-free, and they have been all these years.
And there's no preservatives, and there's nothing on the label that you can't read.
Yeah, and they're all dairy-free.
That you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Dairy-free, vegan, they're all vegan as well. And you don't even have to refrigerate them.
They're shelf stable even after you open them.
Wow,
Stable, so.
For 2 years.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Absolutely. And so many people we've converted to our gallon club. So they now buy.
I saw them.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. I know. I couldn't believe it. The first person that asked us for the gallon, and we were like, oh my God, are you serious? Okay. Because, of course, once you start using it, you use it and you want it. And you can save a lot of money in the gallon club. It's 10 bottles worth of dressing, which, depending on where you're buying it, anywhere from $6 or $7 dollars, $8.
Early customers.
Our wholesale our wholesale price is the same to all of our wholesalers, and then they market however they want.
Yeah.
So say it's $8, which is pretty typical. So you'd be paying $80 for your 10 bottles over the course of time.
You can come get a gallon for $35.
Ooh.
So that's what people are doing, and so it's really great. And all of our products are available by the gallon. I know, right?
Sorry.
It's pretty amazing that people will take that risk and start using it. But it's shelf stable. It's 2-year shelf life. So you can't
it's
really
shelf
go
stable.
wrong.
Yeah,
You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I would assume the vinegar helps a lot with that.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. And then the all natural ingredients, so there's nothing in there that's going to go bad.
Tell you what, you've got sampling stuff set out here, and it's just I gotta try
So
this.
if you want to try it on its own, you better just be sure and mix it around a little
just
bit.
dip up here.
You might want to, yep. So be sure and mix our products because they do separate. They're all natural, of course, and made with apple cider vinegar, and so they do separate. And so you want to mix it well
That's with
and
the sourdough
enjoy it.
bread. So you might get a little essence of the sourdough in there.
Okay.
And then the
Might
sweet and
change the
sour
flavor a little
Italian,
bit.
yeah. And everything that we've got out for sampling right now is actually made with the sweet and sour Italian. We have dip that's made with our cream cheese and our sweet and sour Italian. That's just a 2-to-1 ratio. That's a terrific dip for sampling. But Lou, what did you think of your first taste of the sweet and sour?
I gotta be honest, I'm captivated by the sweet. This is, wow. It was not at all what I was expecting. And I'm saying that as a good thing.
Not in a bad way.
No.
Right.
No, because here we are talking about apple cider vinegar, and we're talking about...
Why don't you give them just a little bit of that on the spoon?
Okay.
Well, no, because I was concerned with using, local lady makes a sourdough.
Okay.
And I thought maybe it changes.
So
but
there's it on its
you were getting the
own.
sweetness out of it, so that's a good thing.
Okay, now I'm getting more of the sour, too.
Sweet and sour
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah.
And so it's got
Oh, yeah, there
the
it is.
oregano, the garlic, the unique ingredient, I believe.
There's something else there.
The celery
it's the
seed.
celery
Yes.
seed.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. And so that high note.
It makes your mind go, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. I was not expecting that. Now, you also have an Italian seasoning mix.
And so the Italian seasoning is the dry ingredients in our
that go in the
Italian
dressing.
products.
Okay. All right.
So that's our. Let me just grab that for you.
Sure.
Because I have it right handy.
It's a good part of being right in the kitchen, isn't it?
Right.
The Italian
that's-
spice phenomenon. All right.
And so we use that as a rub,
Yep.
of course. But,
Also love.
and that's really, it's 5 ingredients. It's the love, it's the
Garlic.
granulated garlic, which helps when you're using it as a rub to make it sort of like a
It kind of creates a crust.
caramel.
Okay.
Yeah, so it kind of creates a little crust on that meat. And then we use it also to make all kinds of great things. We make crackers with it. We make butter with it. So you can make great
Yeah.
garlic
Oh, like
butter
those-
with it.
The crack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little crackers,
crackers.
Yeah,
snack crackers. Yeah, and so,
Yeah.
but that Italian spice phenomenon, it really is the key ingredient to all of our Italian sauces.
Okay.
It's the only spices that are in it besides.
But then
yeah.
you also have the poppy seed line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Poppy seed line, a friend of, once when we had the restaurant in Bowlesburg, a friend of ours said, try this. So we made up this, it was a old Amish poppy seed recipe.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm used to seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we used it warmed.
Yes.
And we'd put
I was
it,
going to say, yeah, it's
like,
always
like
warm.
almost like a hot bacon dressing.
Mm-hmm.
We thought about getting that, and I'm like, well, let's try this.
And we used it on our spinach salad.
and it
Oh,
worked.
yeah. Yeah.
Great for chicken. Really nice to do
Yeah.
that. Salmon.
Oh.
Yeah, and so then we took the
Just a little bit of
marvelous
sweet to
poppy
it.
seed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we took the marvelous poppy seed, and then we ran into. We were doing a show, and there was a cherry farmer out of Michigan who had a tart cherry juice concentrate. And we were set up next to each other, and there was a lull in business, and you get to be talking. We're like, wonder what happens if we.
Like your chocolate in my peanut
Yeah,
butter.
yes.
You dipped your chocolate in my peanut
And we
butter.
both went, wow.
Yeah.
And we still,
That's
to
pretty
this
cool.
day, buy his tart cherry juice.
Oh, actually,
and he
yeah.
buys our dressing to sell at his farm.
And it's King's Orchard.
King's
who,
Orchard out of Michigan.
Yeah, they've grown phenomenally over the years right beside us, and we're still close with them, and they sell our product in Michigan.
That's great.
They sell our tart cherry poppy seed
Yeah.
in Michigan, and we still use theirs. In fact, they actually come into autos, right?
Otto's actually uses their tart cherry juice to make one of their ciders.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Very
isn't that
nice.
fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so King's Orchard, it
all
comes as a,
connections.
it comes as a concentrate, and you can buy it at some of the natural specialty stores around.
Okay.
Way Fruit Farm, I believe, has it, but
Uh-huh.
also Nature's Pantry has it. A couple other local places have that
Oh, that's great.
tart cherry juice from
Yeah.
King's Orchard. It's delicious.
Yeah.
And then the mango peach poppy seed. I don't want to say any more about that because the mango peach poppy seed speaks for itself.
I mean, I got to be honest, you had me at mango. So,
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Delicious. And so but with all of those products, the same thing. The versatility exists because it's great for salads. It's great to The poppy seed is great mixed right into Cool Whip, honestly, to make
Oh.
a strawberry dip,
Sure.
fruit dip. And then the poppy seed goes great on chicken. It goes great on salmon. It's just a terrific product. So,
You can brush it on top of rolls. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Make those poppy seed rolls.
especially
okay,
on King's
yeah.
Hawaiian.
King's Hawaiian rolls.
Oh, sure.
A little ham inside them with some cheese. Bake them in the oven. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Stand for lunch. Well, where was I here?
Once we start talking about food, that's it.
I'm just drooling. What did we miss any products? Is there anything else?
Our product-wise, the versions of the Italian.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We talk about a line. What is there? There's the sweet and sour. There's
So the sweet and sour is our flagship.
Right.
That's our most popular. Our sultry and smoky. So each, like he said, is like a version of the other.
And
So
it's
this,
usually come about because I've needed something else. Like the sultry and smoky came about because
I really wish I
we're
had
gonna
got
go
a
to
picture of your face right when you said
I
that.
needed something else.
Well, we were going to a wing fest, and we're like,
We
heck,
need wing
we don't
sauce.
have a wing.
Oh,
So we created the sultry and smoky for a hot wing sauce.
So the
That's-
sultry, go ahead.
That's not really a hot wing sauce, but it's very flavorful and very.
We use it to make our buffalo mac and cheese still to this day.
okay.
But the sultry smoky has just a little bit of heat and a little bit of smokiness, sultry and smoky. So the sultry in it is the Frank's Red Hot,
Okay.
and the mesquite is the smoke. And so it's just the sweet and sour Italian
Yep.
with those two things, which makes it sultry and smoky.
Yeah.
Then we also have the bold and sassy Italian, which is a ketchup-based product.
Okay. So a little tang to it.
Yep. And so people akin that to like a California chicken. So you can make it
Oh,
with
yeah.
like a French, like a Catalina French
Yeah.
dressing.
Yeah.
It's nice and thick and delicious, but delicious for pasta salads, great for chicken, great for on a tossed salad, on a taco salad, perfect. Then
Some
we
people
have,
use it as a pizza sauce.
true.
Okay.
They use
Yeah.
it a couple of different places that we sell it to by the gallon, of course, and they make pizzas with it. And then we have the bright and tangy Italian.
Because somebody said, you need to make a honey mustard. Well, there's so many honey mustards out there.
Well,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, okay.
But ours
I'll
is going to
make
be different.
Like
Yeah.
my grandson once asked for honey mustard, and
He was like two or three.
He was like 2 or 3, and he was used to the other ones. He was like, I'm not sure. And then the next time he's like, I want more of that.
He wants poppy sauce. We're Nani and Poppy to our kids, so he wants poppy sauce. And so that bright and tangy Italian is my personal favorite. I use it for everything, but it's a sweet herby mustard blend. Like I said, a lot of people think, oh, this tastes like honey mustard. It doesn't.
There's no honey in it.
It doesn't. It tastes like a relish mustard with that.
Okay.
It does. Like
Yeah.
it tastes like you want to put it on a hot dog, and put it in your mac and
I want
mac
to put that on a
salad
pork roast.
or pork
Yeah,
roast.
that's what I
We
would
just
do.
did pork roast
Absolutely.
the other day with it.
Ooh, yeah.
And then the other Italians. So we have that sweet and sour, the sultry, smoky, the bold and sassy, the bright and tangy. Then we added another called dark and zesty, and
We
then
added that because there was 2 musicians that used to play in our cafe, and they had this song that they wrote called Mississippi Mud. And they're like, do you think you could make a sauce?
Mississippi mud sauce was born.
Challenge me once? All right, let's go.
So we made the Mississippi mud sauce. Somehow it's thinking that it's really Kansas City mud. I can't remember. But anyway, that they no longer, I mean, it wasn't like they sold it. We just, made it for them as a present. And then we were like, well, why don't we sell it? And so we put a label on that. The dark and zesty Italian is made with molasses and again with some mesquite. So it's very dark and very sweet and wonderful. And then, so we also came out with, so we were never really ones to go with, keto diet or whatever, but this dressing was made out of somebody's personal need for special. So we tweaked our dressing to have no oil in it and no. I'm so sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
we did do one with no oil at one point. but-
Originally, we did.
Yes.
So this simple and sour is what we call it.
Oh.
And it's easily mistaken because it's a purple label. The sweet and sour is a red label, but somehow people mistakenly pick that up.
Oh.
It's the simple and sour, which has no sugar in it.
And no salt.
And no salt.
Okay.
So you pick that up expecting
It's
the
very
sweet and
tart.
sour. It's pretty, it's like a hoagie dressing. It's
Okay.
like, it's great for marinating. It still has the oil in it. It's still terrific for pasta salad. It's great for all kinds of, all of the recipes are almost interchangeable. Like on our website, if you're going to use a recipe for sweet and sour Italian, the next time use the same recipe and use the bright and tangy Italian. You can interchange all of the Italian for the Italian recipes and all of the poppy seed for the poppy seed recipes. Just start being creative.
And of course, it is shelf stable, so you can just do that as often as you like.
Exactly. So we make things as easy as we can for you to be confident serving your friends and family in your own home, or taking something with you as a hostess gift.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we do have a new sauce.
That's what I was going to ask. Are there any new things?
Well, we moved up here, and what did I mention earlier?
We're on the mountain.
Elk.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's like, don't you have a marinade for elk?
And so, we're connected with the PA Wilds, which is a regional tourism area. And so
we are working on an elk marinade.
It's got maple syrup in it.
It is totally nothing like any of our other products.
Sounds it.
Yeah.
The flavor
Still
profile.
with apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Still with
the
apple
flavor
cider
profile
vinegar.
is not.
It's not Italian.
It's not an Italian, and it's not a poppy.
Certainly not a poppy seed.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
very
We
unique.
think we're going to call it Wild and Wonderful. Something like that.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Right.
It's getting all its testing and all that done. So that will be coming along. But then the other line is the poppy seed line, and we just have. I don't want to say just. We have the Marvelous Poppy Seed, which naming that was fun because we did that back in not early 1998, and we're like, well, what do you call it? What do we call it? Well, I said, well, it's simply marvelous. I'm like, that's what everybody's saying. Oh, it's marvelous, darling. So we were like, oh, do we actually play on this? But yes, there was no other way of describing it. It is marvelous. And then we have the tart cherry poppy seed version, which Clay spoke about with the tart cherry juice, and the mango peach poppy seed. There. So that is the Marvelous Poppy Seed. And there is dry mustard in that, which I'm sure you'll taste. There's onion in it. It's warmed. It's amazing. But on its own, it's also...
And there's only three different, there's only three spices in it.
Yeah.
So it's very simple.
It's just the poppy seeds, the dry mustard, and salt, of course, a little bit of salt and onion powder. So it's just they are very simple ingredients to make simple sauces that you can make simple, delicious foods at home.
I'm only teasing out the different flavors as it's getting towards the end, and it's really starting to get thinner, the flavor, and then I'm like, okay, there's the onion, there's the mustard. But otherwise, it's a great integration.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really goes together well.
Thank you.
That's fabulous.
So yeah, we've been really pleased. I mean, the line has stayed pretty steady, pretty solid this whole time. So bringing out this new product, it's been years since we've brought a new product into existence. One that we're going to add to our line. So we have made things like pickled carrots, pickles, pickled mushrooms. We've done so many different products with these products along the way, but they've never really been part of our line that goes out to our retailers. They're only really available through us.
Right.
So, but this Wild and Wonderful will be available to the public.
Well, I saw you showed me the Zerbe's potato chips with the Italian seasoning in it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Zerbe's is a company out of Lancaster, and the gentleman that owns it comes up here, has a camp.
Okay.
And so he got in his mind, he's owned it for about 10 years now, but it's a 40-year-old company. But he got in his mind to grab himself a delivery van. And so when he comes up to camp, and he started distributing it up here. And
he
now
distributes down in the Lancaster area, pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's mostly in Lancaster, but he brings this up here. And now instead of sitting around camp or going out in the woods, he's distributing chips everywhere. Yeah. So he's having a ball, meeting. Yeah, of course.
Business guys get a business. That's what you do.
Yep. So
and one day I met him, and I'm like, we used to do some chips when we had our cafe. We'd take chips, heat them up, and put our spice on. So I gave him some spice, and I said, here, give this a try. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're excited to partner with other people doing stuff like this. A lot of restaurants use our products, clubs,
Butcher shops.
yeah. So when I say clubs, I mean like Lions clubs or
Oh, yeah.
VFWs and things like that use our products as well. And so they're always making fun stuff and sharing that with us. So
That's pretty cool. Thank you. Thank you for, thank you for inviting me into your home.
it's been fun.
Yeah. No, I'm
And we'll show you where we make it.
glad you said something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll show you our little factory and our warehouse, and we'll get you on your way.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Lou.
you.
I've been using some of the Village Eatinghouse products as marinades since that show. They gave me a bottle of the Dark and Zesty, and that got me thinking, what other shortcuts do I use when I'm cooking? Because we do make some marinades and sauces from scratch here at House Bryson. I whipped up a mix of ketchup, soy sauce, grated horseradish, liquid smoke, and minced garlic that we call the Manly Marinade and use for grilling London broil. There's a ginger marinade made with hoisin sauce, sherry, garlic, and freshly minced ginger that we use for pork. And I have a mustard and vinegar-based recipe that I vary as the mood hits me for salmon and pork. There's one really easy thing I do that actually got into a recipe book, a small book of beer-based recipes. Pour a bottle of wit beer, like Blue Moon or Allagash White, into a gallon Ziploc bag. Then add half a teaspoon of ground coriander and a cup of orange juice. Gently just kind of slosh it around to mix it. Put chicken pieces in there and refrigerate it for a couple hours. Then pat them dry and grill them. I usually take another bottle of wit beer and lightly spray the chicken while it's grilling. That's delicious, spicy, and citrus zesty. But I also use packaged marinades, like the Village Eatinghouse Dark and Zesty, and Trader Joe's Soyaki, and the range of Maine-based World Harbor's marinades. I particularly like and recommend World Harbor's Maui Mountain Hot Teriyaki marinade, which adds some cayenne heat to the pineapple sweet of their regular Maui Mountain teriyaki. We were introduced to Gazebo Room Greek dressing when we moved up here. The Gazebo Room was a restaurant in Harrisburg, and like the Village Eatinghouse, the salad dressing outlived the restaurant. The Geekus family recipe is a favorite, and I use that as a marinade for chicken too, and in a shrimp and pasta salad we make. In fact, that recipe is so easy, I'm just going to give it to you here. Got a pen? Combine 1.5 pounds of cold peeled shrimp with 1 pound of cooked rotini, some chopped onions and peppers, about 1 pint of cherry tomatoes, and half a bottle of Gazebo Room dressing. Remember to shake well first, and then chill that. We love that stuff. If you do use packaged marinades, I'd encourage you to do like we do and doctor them. If I have a thick sauce that I want to use as a marinade, for instance, I might thin it with apple cider vinegar, or white balsamic vinegar, or red wine vinegar, or red wine, or just fruit juice, depending on what works with the flavor. It spreads the marinade better and adds flavor, just like the sprinkle of minced dehydrated onion I may also add. You know what else adds flavor, and something I find myself adding to a lot of things these days, is anchovy paste. Don't make that face. Blended in, anchovy paste, rich in that fifth flavor of umami, doesn't really add fishiness. We just had stuffed peppers last night. A blend of hot sausage and orzo, diced onions and peppers, and I blended in a full tablespoon of anchovy paste. It didn't taste at all fishy, just rich and vibrant. A bit of anchovy paste in pesto is sheer genius. Try it this summer. I like the Delalo anchovy paste from the Jeanette, PA-based company we visited in episode 37. You can find it in tubes in the Italian specialty section of most supermarkets, or at the great Italian delis we talked about in episode 21, which is the best place to get your anchovy paste, and concentrated tomato paste, the really good red pepper flakes, espresso powder for baking, and Calabrian pepper sauce. Really a whole bunch of stuff. That's all part of my cooking arsenal. All right, let's go a bit further. I'm going to tell you a secret here. It's a little embarrassing, but I use it a few times a year. And honestly, the family's forgiven me because it works. If I have some leftover mashed potatoes, I'll reheat them slowly while browning 1 pound of ground meat, beef, pork, lamb, chicken, whatever. As it browns, I'll throw in a chopped medium onion, some diced carrots, and then a cup of frozen peas. I think you probably see where I'm going. See, but then it gets ugly. I put all that in a mixing bowl, and I stir in a can of Hunt's Manwich Sloppy Joe sauce. I can hear you now. No, you can make your own. It's so easy. Honey, nothing is easier than opening a can and dumping it in. And this is one time where I don't add anything else but some sweet swing and spoon action, because this is a dinner I can make in under 15 minutes of prep time and have on the table in about 40 minutes, which is the whole point. There's a can of Manwich in my pantry right now for just such an occasion. There's always one there. Just pour all that goop in a big casserole and carefully spread the mashed potatoes on top. One time I had some potatoes left over, and I put them in a Ziploc bag, nipped off the corner to make a makeshift pastry bag, and piped, "Eat me," on top of the dish just for fun. Stick that in the oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. You've got dinner. Don't give me a load of hate on this either. Our next episode, we'll talk about cooking with Spam. I like cooking, and I like making fun stuff, sometimes elaborate stuff, and I've told you about some of that. But I like to eat, too. And sometimes it's good to get something really tasty on the table with less work and less time. And that's when I go to the pantry and start thinking about shortcuts. I'm going to keep some of Clay and Melanie's stuff handy for days like that. And salad days. You can use it for salads. Hey, a quick Maibach report. Bull City Brewing has a Maibach on right now, and as Ferris Bueller would say, it is so choice. I've not had a chance to try the brand new Maibach from New Trail Brewing, their first Maibach, but it's on my to-do list. I know there are some more Maibachs up in Northeast PA again. If you see a new locally brewed Central PA Maibach, drop me a line on social media. I'd love to know about it. That's the show. My thanks to Clay and Melanie for the interview, and I hope to get back up there for one of your Friday sessions real soon. You can find pictures for this episode on Instagram at STAG Podcast and on Facebook at Seen Through a Glass. If you're listening to the show on the radio at WSOV, there are over 50 more episodes to enjoy, including a Milheim episode and a Nittany Valley episode on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Podbean, really all the popular podcast outlets. If you'd like to toss a bit in my hat to keep the show going, I have a coffee button in my Instagram link tree, that's at STAG Podcast, and at the Facebook page. Every state has odd regional favorite foods, and Pennsylvania has plenty. Shoofly pie, cheesesteaks, scrapple, pagache, and Old Forge pizza, red beet eggs, the Permani Brothers sandwich, chow chow, marshmallow freaking peeps, whoopie pies, are distinctly different versions of what others mistakenly call chicken pot pie and chicken and waffles, tea-berry ice cream, chipped ham barbecue, birch beer, hey now, Lebanon bologna, hog maw, funnel cakes, cup cheese, and I still say the Texas hot dog originated in Kane. But what does BuzzFeed say is, quote, the weirdest food in Pennsylvania? Cream chip beef on toast. Really? Not only is that not unique to Pennsylvania at all, it's not even what we call it. I've had some good dry beef gravy in PA, though I prefer it on fried potatoes. But I'd hardly say it was a particularly Pennsylvania thing. Oh, BuzzFeed, you got some learning to do. That gives me an idea. All those distinctly Pennsylvania foods I just listed, first, I probably missed some, so let me know about it. And I'm not talking about a particular brand of something. It's got to be a distinctly different food. I may have missed your favorite. Second, which one of those foods do you want me to do an episode on? Which one would make a good story? And this is kind of important. Which one can you think of a good person to interview for? That's your assignment. Fill out that list of PA foods and tell me which one you want an episode about. Send me a note at the podcast email, seenthroughaglass@gmail.com, or just message me through the Facebook or Instagram pages. And we'll do a random drawing from everyone who sends one in for a 5-pack of podcast stickers. That reminds me, I got to work on more merch. All right, what's coming up? I know we just did a fishing episode, but it's trout season, and in Central PA, that's a big deal. So I already have an interview with 2 Penns Creek fishing guides, and I'm angling to get another. We'll see how that goes. Until then, thanks for listening. This is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass from the smack dab center of the Keystone State.